This is Real Women, Celebrating Women in Independent Film. My name is Brenda Daly, and I am here with not a woman, but a man, John DiMarco. And we're just here to talk about his, it's a romantic drama about Kevin and Winnie that's been winning a lot of film festivals lately. He is a director, writer. He also does photography, and you're also a DP, right?
Yes.
Right. Anything else I missed?
No, that's it. I'm a pretty boring person.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I just wanted to talk to you about this movie because I feel like in this time, a lot of people are making a lot of horror films.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think Vegas is pretty horror-centric. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Well, I think the reason is because everybody will watch a horror film.
Yeah.
So I think he took a shot. I think he took a chance.
I did, and I think also too horror. I mean, again, going back to horror, I think a lot of people are doing horror, and you have to try something different and do something different. And Kevin and Winnie is totally different. And
I loved a lot of the symbolism. Okay, first of all, just from a woman's perspective, what I really loved about your movie was that it really lets people understand that a man wrote this.
Yes,
it was a romantic movie about love. It had a lot of symbolism in it that was very makes your heart a little tender, and so it was good to see because it was written by a man and directed by a man.
Yes,
but yet I think if you watched it, you would just see how sensitive you guys are.
Yeah, it really felt like even if we go back to like the origins of this movie, like the movie was based on me getting a new light. Like that's I got a new light for work, and I used to test out my lights at work, and I bring them home and I use them for other things for my productions. But I went outside, put the light out there, and I'm like, wow, these are great shadows in the living room and all that stuff. You're seeing all these like beautiful film noir style like lighting in my dining room, and I'm like, what would be like this thing where this man and this woman are fighting about like how he has to tell her he's dying, and I'm like, what's a terrible name that no one would want to have? And I'm like, the first thing that came to my head was Winifred, and then I used the name Kevin, and then someone's like, the Wonder Years, and I'm like, didn't really think about that.
I didn't think of that either. She just said that.
Yeah, because I finished the first draft, and I'm terrible at picking out names for like screenwriting.
Yeah.
It's like one of the hardest
characters.
Character names for any time, and I'm like, Kevin, that works for now, whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, Winnie, that's cool, perfect. I'll change if I have to. I'm like, it just stuck, and then someone's like, the Wonder Years. I'm like, no.
I think I like the name Winnie only because in our time, Winifred's a very old name.
It is, yes.
And I think that what I liked about the whole Winnie thing is because, and Winnie in the movie is my daughter plays the lead in it. She plays Winifred, but I think that what I liked about it was, if anybody knows my daughter, she's very strong young woman, and she believes in equality with men and women, and so the Winnie thing kind of worked for her.
Yeah.
Like, it made me go, oh, okay, I get it. Like, because it's an old name, and so it kind of shows she's a little bit of an old soul, but yet she's a very modern woman.
Yes, yeah, it just worked out perfectly for that. Like, and even that, having Brenda, your daughter, and Jordan was technically a blind casting.
Yeah, and the thing, if you look at them, you don't see them as a couple. But the movie itself, I believe they were a couple. And she's my daughter, and I know she's an actor, but I believe, that's when I knew when I watched it, because of course I went and watched it to support her, and I know she's a great actress. She's, believe me.
Great, yeah.
But sometimes you just don't know how it's going to end up. And I just really felt like they had chemistry. Yeah. And if you look at them, they don't look like they belong. But when they were interacting, I believed them. Yeah. Opposites attract. That's what it felt like.
It works so well. Like, I actually have the table retaped, and we're going to release it on YouTube. By the time this is out or before it out, I'm not too sure when I'm going to release it. But if you watch it, it's an hour long. And we read the script and stuff like that. But we talk and we discuss things. And there's a lot of things that changed from that draft that I sent them and gave them on a table read to where we are now in the 5th version of that script. And you're like, oh, okay, they had that. That's an idea they had. And it was just the chemistry was off the charts. And we all were like, wow, whoa, wow. Like,
right. I do believe filmmaking is kind of subconscious. I think things do come up and that are almost like it was meant to happen.
Oh yeah.
I do believe that in everything we do in our life that was what was meant to happen.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when you just get a bunch of creative people together, it sparks the best of the creativity.
Yeah.
So I feel like you guys have definitely accomplished that.
Yeah, and I listened to a lot of The Cure too for like the last
Oh my
couple
God,
months. Like
we love The Cure.
That Disintegration album, I have it on repeat for like every day up to Kevin and Winnie and past Kevin and Winnie. And actually, I wanted to put Untitled at the end of the movie as the credit song.
Oh yeah, it's so funny because Pictures of You is my husband and my song.
And I actually listened to that song religiously because actually, here's the fun fact. So
fun fact. Cure, we love The Cure. Go ahead.
The original idea for the title credits wasn't. That's my tree in the backyard, by the way.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So the original idea was taking a bunch of pictures with Kevin and Winnie out taking dates. So like a bunch of pictures, and then the end of the movie, we were just gonna throw the pictures on the table and have pictures of you play at the end of the movie. But I never got to do that, and I was lazy at the time, probably.
But I mean, that's something you can do.
That is something I can do, and I was like,
that's a nice thing about being the owner of the film and all of that is that you can literally change it around.
I'm like George Lucas, I feel like.
You can change it anytime you want.
I
think as long as the distributors are okay with that.
Yeah, if I have any, yeah.
Right. Well, the thing is that now when you made it a short film, are your plans to just go further with it, or maybe just leave it just as it is? Like, are you planning on like you could extend it to a feature, or? I mean, I'm not really sure as the creative what the idea was. Or it was like, oh, I just want to play with the light, and this is what we came up with.
So the idea when I first did it was I want to make a great drama film and something that harkens back to like the days of old, the 70s and 80s movies, because I love those movies. Yeah,
you accomplished that
like,
for sure.
Especially like I love Gordon Willis. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Gordon Willis is like one of my favorite directors of photography ever. And he made films like he worked on Manhattan. Annie Hall, The Godfather 1 through 3, and a few other Woody Allen movies I can't think of off the top of my head. But like, also I want something where I want to give the actors let them be available to like elevate themselves, right? Not like with my script. I wasn't even like planning on like them reading the words of the script. I was like, you guys can play with it if you want to. I never like it was a skeleton. Right. You guys can do whatever you want to add to it because that's why I want them to really have the freedom.
It's so funny is I don't know if it's just becoming more of a trend now than it was because it used to be. And being an actor, when you audition, you always worry about, well, do I have to keep it exactly the script? And of course, that's what they teach you. It has to be exactly the script. But as a script writer and as a creative, I don't think that my dialogue's always perfect, and sometimes it doesn't fit one personality, it might fit another one. So sometimes I feel like if they played with it, I kind of like that.
And that's
because they take ownership of it.
They do, and they make it their own, and that's why I want them to really take. Because I feel like, and maybe just me and my like narcissistic ideas, I don't think a lot of people like let actors here take control of their characters, and they aren't really allowed to like explore them a lot. So I wanted to give them that freedom and see what they can do as actors and actresses. Right,
and I do believe, like, and being an actor, that actors are creative. Yeah. They do take a lot of orders, for sure. Yeah. But I think, when you're doing something like what you guys did, it's very, it can really make your performance better if the creative who wrote it gives you a little license.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, like, talking about Kevin and Winnie, when we're talking about, like, the scenes and spoilers, let's call it scene 3 and scene 4, if you know what they are, I wrote those in, like, within an hour.
And I think when you're motivated, you write faster.
I wrote those in as okay, let me just write this real quick because we need an extra scene, and I kind of want to add this there. But I wrote them with the intentions of, whatever, like, they're great, they're going to change it, yada, yada, yada. Then the day we film it, especially the outside scene, which is scene 3, it was just so perfect that I'm like, I wrote
the actual statue?
What?
Or did you guys put that? It all starts here.
Oh, that's actually at Cadence Central Park.
I thought you guys like dropped that in. How smart was that?
That is an actual actual.
So in the beginning of the movie, just so anybody knows, it's the couple together, and there's a big statue behind them. It says it all starts here, and it's got the balloon in it. And I thought, wow, that's incredible.
And that's another. I call this also the movie of happy accidents because we were supposed to film that in Lake Las Vegas. That whole opening scene.
Oh, okay.
Was supposed to be in Lake Las Vegas, and for like weeks, I was getting in touch with Lake Las Vegas. I was like, hey, we want to film. Is it possible to film here? Can we film here? Let's go. And they responded back. The lady, I think whatever her name was, was like, hey, fill out this thing. Do you have insurance? Do you have your business license? I'm like, well, crap, my business license expired because I thought, me being an idiot, I thought your business license just ends when you don't pay for it anymore, so it's null and void. $2,400 later,
you have to cancel it.
Yeah, so I didn't know that, I had to get a business license, so I had to pay that. And then I got like the insurance, which was really cheap. The liability insurance was like $50 or something like that.
Oh, you're gonna give me that insurance? Hey, he knows where you get insurance. $50. You need to let me know.
Yeah, it was like all right, 75 maybe max.
Okay.
But that was just
anything under 100 is good.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I had to get rental equipment insurance, which is another story for that.
Okay.
But anywho, so I get in contact. I get all the things, and then I had to fill out the form, and they're like, well, you want to film in the village, which they say in the thing, where do you want to film? I'm like, the village. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, you have to go talk to this person. So I had to talk to that person, and I'm trying to get in touch with him. And he goes, oh, I had to talk to the board. I'm like, the board? We just want to film them walking and talking, like nothing like crazy here. It's not like we're like looking for a horror film to running around.
Right.
And literally the day before we filmed the scene at the park, I'm sorry, let me go back a little bit. Me and George were talking, and we're like, well, let's check a park out, because George was like, we have to have a backup just in case. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I passed by Cadence Central Park, and we go over there, and we're like, this is perfect. This is better than Lake Las Vegas. So we actually had Lake Las Vegas planned out, me and George. We had the shots, all that stuff.
You went down there, you took all the time. No, I get it. Yeah.
And then we did it at Cadence, and we're like, this is so much better. Who cares what happens, right? So literally the day before we filmed, they go, oh, sorry, John, like, the board said no. I'm like, are you, like, it took you this long? Like, you didn't even, all right, whatever. Like, and they didn't give me a reason why. They said no. So I'm like, all right,
so
whatever.
Anybody who has never made a film, just so you know, like, there's so many key elements. It's a big puzzle, and I think the paperwork and the insurance and all of that can be so mind-boggling, because we just want to make movies.
Yeah.
We just want to get our cameras out, get our script together, get our actors together, and just go do it. And I think we don't realize when we start that, it's like, oh, it's super exciting, but there's all this other stuff that you have to do.
Oh yeah, it's really my first time technically, I think, producing in a sense too. And like, even I was trying to do everything the right way, because what's that old saying? You better ask for.
It's always better to actually for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah, well, I did the opposite this time, and I was trying to do the right thing, because I was like, everyone's like, oh, we'll just go down there, and we'll go down there and film it anyway. I'm like, there's like 8 of us. Like, I can't go 8 deep and go, let's just film, and oh, sorry guys.
I just don't understand. What? I know, there's rules.
Yeah.
But it always gets me that you can go and film a softball game.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a permit.
No, it makes no sense.
I don't understand. You can go film your kids playing on the playground, and you don't have to have a permit. If it's public ground, it should be, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I guess because it's private, technically, Lake Las Vegas. But again, like, we're also doing them a favor, by, promoting them in a sense.
Right.
By showing them.
Did you negotiate that with them?
No, I should have said that. But,
I usually, like, with when we did our feature, because we had so little money, it was all about negotiation, and it was, people were donating, but they were donating with, because we mentioned their names, and we were highlighting them, and so there's this big exchange, but it is time consuming.
Yeah, it was. And it was also very like, am I going to get an answer like that? It's not time. It's also like just pressure and like
because they're not getting back to you in time. It's like, I want to know right away so that I can move on to the next thing.
And I reached out to them a month before we were filming too. So like, I had way in advance like reached out to them and like did all the due diligence I had to prior to that. Right,
but I think because we care about what we're doing. I think that we're not a priority. And I get it. You're asking them to do something, but I sometimes feel like I always try to do, because I talk about sometimes. I do creative currency.
Mhm.
So usually it's like, well, I can make you a little commercial
Yeah.
or whatever, and then you don't have to pay for it. It does take you more time though, and sometimes your time is money.
Yeah.
So it's all on what level you want to work it out. But I totally get the locations are tough.
Yeah.
And I think it's always smart to make sure you always have a backup.
Yeah, and we're lucky we found that park, and I remember going there for work a couple times, and I was like, this works. And then my house is just, I feel like a treasure trove of just filming stuff because like.
Oh yeah, if you can, if your spouse lets you use your house, then you need to do that.
It's funny because like someone who was at the screening was like, "Wait, that was your backyard?" Because they didn't know that was my backyard. They thought it was a bar.
Oh well, that's cool.
Yeah, like they thought that was something somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I actually do a lot of
perfect.
filming at the Indie Film Factory because they have walls. We've moved.
Yeah.
We've literally like. People are like, wait, you're on one spot? I go, yeah. I go, you can use one spot. If you're, that's part of being a creative and having no budget.
Mm-hmm.
I know even when you do a short film, it can get expensive.
Yes, you can. It was $1,000 for rental just for the 5 days. Because I rented a red, so I wanted to use a red for this film because I'm like, let me use it because I want to buy this in the next camera. So I'm like, I had to do that. I had to rent that stuff.
Right.
And that was like $1,000, right? But then I had to get rental insurance, which is another insurance, which is like about I think $270 or something like that.
Right. So did you self-fund everything?
Yeah, I self-funded everything. Yeah.
So let me ask you. So what's next for you? Like, are you going to film something else, or are you looking towards a feature? Or are you going to do a couple more shorts? Or
well, right now I'm kind of riding the wave of this Kevin and Winnie thing, and I know like I'm worried about it until March 3rd when we have the festival in LA.
Right,
we're going to.
That's a big one.
And then I'm like,
what's the name of that festival?
That's the Golden State Film Festival.
Okay.
And that's at the Chinese Theater or the TCL Theater. So part of me, at the world famous TCL Theater. Yeah.
Right. Or Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Grauman's Chinese Theater. Yeah. That's really exciting, and that's probably like the coolest like. Thing
that
ever.
is cool.
Like I mean. I as soon as I found out I was in that one, I was like, oh boy, I gotta go to that. I was like,
for sure,
yeah.
For sure.
And it's crazy too, because like the person who ran the festival like was like, hey, I want to talk to you. Like, why do you want to talk to me? Like, what? But it was just formality of like, I guess they do this to everyone. I was like, hey, we're telling you that you're in the festival. I was like, darn, I thought you were like gonna say, hey, we want to make this a feature. I was like.
I think too, when you do a short film like that, you can't. I mean, when we did Mom Squad, the whole idea is to try to get funding for a feature.
Oh yeah.
And then we're kind of doing it ourselves anyway. But I think the idea of making a short film was to have people go, "Wow, that was great." And I think the thing I like about the movie was that a lot of people aren't making these kind of movies for festivals. It's all, and you being a DP too, it's like, it's mostly about special effects, but it wasn't, yours is really heavy on story. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is, sound and story.
Exactly. I mean,
the lighting can suck, really.
You know what? I got a review back from Film Threat because I went to them to get a film review just to get some ideas of like what people thought and stuff. And we got 7.5 out of 10. I can't speak for a second. And I read the review, and they didn't really talk about the technical aspect, which I always took that as a positive thing, because if they're going to talk about the story and how they enjoy the story in that regard, then you did something right. Because if they didn't like the story, they talk about the technical. But if they thought like if they didn't like the story, they talk about the technical.
If they're more focused on the story, then the tech was great. It was just that you did your job because they're more focused on the story, not the technical stuff.
Exactly.
I totally get that, because I think at the end of the day, we're storytellers.
Yeah.
Of course, we tell it with light and technology and all these things, but if the story's not interesting, then you really don't have anything.
Yeah.
I always tell people, because, the YouTube crave and social media, there's this woman and she's making a fortune, and she's taking Barbie dolls and just hand playing with them, filming it, and she's making a huge fortune. Gosh. She's been doing this for years, and these little kids, that's what they watch.
I need to get on that.
I'm just saying, so I don't know what story she's telling these kids, but just the idea that that's entertaining to a 5 to 8 year old. Think about that.
That's true.
And it's all about the story. Are they obsessed with the quality? Obviously, the quality is not there, right?
Yeah.
It's the whatever story content she's giving.
Because I think 5 and 8 year olds aren't obsessed with the quality yet until you hit a certain age of like.
Right. Right. But I'm just saying. But they are if they're absorbed in the story, she's doing a good job.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. For sure, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you're doing a podcast. You were doing Chasing the Frame.
Yes, I was doing that podcast for a while.
Right. And so, do you have plans on doing that again, or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet, because I think for me personally, I think I also like, because I was telling Brenda off screen that I lost all the footage on my hard drive because I accidentally format the hard drive. And I thought about it too, and I was like realizing that I'm also the guy telling people advice, but I don't have anything to back it up. So I think I thought.
What do you mean, the advice for filmmaking films?
Yeah, filmmaking films.
Okay,
so I'm giving people advice, or I'm telling them my like thoughts and like my opinions on stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't really have stuff to back that up. So, I made Oh No, and then we made Kevin and Winnie. I'm like, I think now like I'm starting to get some more like I have some more stuff under my belt. I can now like be more of a credible like source of that if I'm giving people advice or opinions on stuff.
Honestly, I've made so many little short films, and then and I just did the first feature, and honestly, I still constantly feel like I don't have the right advice to give everybody, because every it's kind of like being a doctor. Every patient's different.
True.
You can analyze things to death, and then you can make a great film, and then the next one could be terrible, and it's just, and you think you got it all together.
True, but you have experience, and you have like people, when they hear your opinion about things, they're going to listen to you and value you more about that as well.
It's funny because sometimes I take advice from people that have less experience than me, because I always find that people that do creative stuff are smart.
Yeah. And
it's not, you don't have to use their opinion.
Yeah.
But sometimes if it just comes off the board, I just go, oh, you know what? I'm going to try that. And then sometimes it works. Usually it works. But, because they're not thinking about, oh, well, I have to be a mentor.
Yeah.
They're just thinking about, you should really, it just came to their mind.
Yeah. I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So I know. I always try to feel like I don't want to feel like or anybody to think that I know everything, because I'll never know everything.
We'll never know. But again, like, it's good to be like, all right, at least I'm not sounding crazy.
I go, like, my acting skills have gotten better because of Brenda, because she studied. So I lean on her, and I lean on other people that Deborah Richards that I just met during the whole challenge thing, and the Steven Sebos from Action Shot, and people like you. I literally am a student constantly, and I think that's how you have to be. No matter where you are, and just go for it.
True.
Just go for it. If you've never done it before, just go for it. What's the worst? I mean, I can tell you, some of those films I don't even have out there. They're not there. They're never going to be there. You'll never see them. They're terrible. But it was a good experience, and the people that I work with were great. So, you learn a lot from them.
You do, yeah. I learned. I mean, just even this film, I learned a lot. Like just doing this, because it's always like you said, what can we do better the next time around? And it's like, okay, what do we learn? Oh, we need a third day.
So what person? Well, usually this is real women.
Yeah.
What women in film really inspired you to? I mean, I don't even know what got you started being a creative.
Well, I just love movies for my whole life. If you want to actually it's funny because when I was 6, I was just thinking about this on the way up here. I was like, when I was 6, I didn't think about filmmaking at all. I thought about being a WWE wrestler.
Nice. I love that.
And an FBI agent. I wanted those two things as a child. And then I guess what started the drive of me moving to film was actually skateboarding. So I have to weirdly thank Jackass, because Jackass started a whole I think filmmaking craze for a lot of us who are around my age, because
what are you, 31?
32.
Oh, it's so funny because my son is 31. When he was 12 years old, I said, well, we're going to do a mother-son date.
Yeah.
He's 12 years old. What movie are you going to see? Jackass. I'm literally watching this movie with my 12-year-old son going, what the? And of course, I didn't want to leave and embarrass him, because I made it his choice and his date. But to this day, I'm just like, what was that?
It's a great movie. I just watched the second one last night, and I saw the fourth one in theaters. I was laughing very loud. But because of that like era of like stuff,
it was anything goes.
Anything goes, and skateboarding was a big thing too at the time. And I don't know if it still is. I haven't skateboarded in a long time, and I was terrible at it. But like that stuff made me want to do that, and I was so inspired by like if we're all about skateboard films like Flips, Sorry, and the skateboard company, Yeah Right, which had a really cool sequence with green screen skateboards. So they actually like looked like they were flying without no skateboards.
Oh wow!
And it was pretty cool.
Like hoverboards.
Yeah, no boards actually.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had another one called the Magic Board, which was like a board that was by itself, and then go to another guy and go to another person, stuff like that. And they skate for a little bit. But those films inspired me to make other films. So like from Jackass to like Chris Nolan to like then learning about video artists like Bill Viola or even Yoko Ono, the McCoys.
Yeah, and I really do think that people. I mean, in this day and age, of course, everybody in the last 10 years, media has just become such a thing.
Yeah.
And so the industry has changed so much, and because everybody got locked down in COVID. The industry's really changed. Everybody's like, I am so bored.
Oh my God.
What am I going to do? And so it's what they took from that or what they did with that.
Yeah.
I felt like, well, I lost my job of 22 years. So this is all the only other thing I've ever really done. So we just kind of got busy. But I think that that's what everybody's been kind of doing.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It's been an interesting 2 years of lockdown. Or semi-lockdown. I
know. I can't believe that we're finally coming out of this. We'll see.
Let's knock on some wood.
Knock on wood. Oh, wait. Okay. So, anyway, so did you didn't answer my question though? What women in film? I know you like Jackass, so that's.
I know. I'm trying to think. I thought about this question too because I was like when I read the question, I thought it was like related to like a woman in your life. And I was like, well,
it could be.
I mean, but normally my family's in the entertainment business. Like, I'm the only person that.
But well, for me, my mom did a lot of like stage acting. Yeah. My dad was okay. So I made a melodrama on film.
Yeah.
So, but my dad always played the villain in melodramas.
Yeah.
So, for me, I grew up around the whole acting thing, but I felt like, but I always went to Barbra Streisand movies and Bette Midler movies. So. My mom loved the theater, so that's kind of where it came from for me.
I think, I mean, I can say my mom, but because they helped facilitate me doing this dream, like my parents, but also maybe my grandma too, because I go over her house and I would watch The Godfather, or
take a drink.
No, one second. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, he's technical difficulties. Go ahead.
Or I watched The Wizard of Oz. So those are the two movies or The Little Rascals, because my grandma had a compilation tape of that. Yeah, so I think maybe Judy Garland in a weird way, because I said, I watched The Wizard of Oz religiously as a child, and I guess I was inspired. I don't know. I mean, I thought about this question.
But it's really hard.
It's hard. It really is hard.
And the thing is of course, Betty White just passed away. But I've always been a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a great talent, but she was always a great talent being herself.
Yeah, she was.
She was always being herself, and my favorite movie is Lake Placid because I don't know why. It's just and I think that's the kind of film I would like to make.
Yeah.
And because I do she was very humorous. But so what is the next type of film you want to make? Because I know you made a horror, and now you've made a romantic comedy. Not a romantic, a romantic drama.
No horror yet. I have worked on a horror.
What's Oh No?
Oh No's a comedy.
Oh, I didn't see it. So
you did see it. It was at the premiere. It was the movie where I got locked in the house.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that. Oh, that was cute.
Based on a true story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where I actually got locked out of the house.
Okay.
Jesus. But no, I think the next thing is actually a horror. And I thought about this, and I kind of want to bring it back to slasher and movies like Scream, and looking at movies like Scream and the 90s horror, and really investigating what made those great and made those really interesting, and really want to I really just want to put an emphasis on a red herring type, who's the killer.
Right.
So I really want to focus on that, and I think that's the next thing. I have ideas. I don't want to say them yet, but
right.
That's the next, I think.
Plus, you want to put it on media because then everybody else can do it.
Yeah, that's true too.
I'm doing that.
But I will get the title out. It's called The Weekend.
Oh, that's good.
So it's going to take place over 3 days.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. 3 days, weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really fun talking to you,
It's
John.
been really fun. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
and then of course I'll put the link down below for Ono and Kevin and Winnie. It's going to film festival. It's been winning film festivals like crazy. You guys should definitely check it out. Go back and look at his Chasing the Frames. That would be good. Please subscribe. Real Women really need some subscribers today. And it's been really fun. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The turntables have turned because you were on my podcast, now I was on your podcast.
That's right. The tables have turned. And I want to thank Steven Sebo from Action Shot Studios for having us again. If you want to do a podcast, you should definitely get a hold of him. And this is Brenda Daly, and this is Real Women, celebrating women in independent film. But today we're celebrating John DiMarco, the man. Thanks.